At my own baby shower, my mother-in-law stood up and said, "Let's be honest, this baby would be better off raised by me." Everyone laughed while I sat there frozen, staring at the gift table. Later that night, my husband shrugged and said, "It's just her way." I packed my things 2 weeks later. A year after that, she was crying on my porch, begging to see the grandchild she never thought I'd keep away. I grew up in Akron, Ohio. Simple life. My mom worked the register at Giant Eagle for over 20 years. My dad did long-haul trucking, mostly Midwest routes. They weren't perfect, but they were real. They told the truth. They raised me to work hard and stand up for myself. That's what I thought everyone was like. Then I met Daniel Anderson. He was from Westlake, about an hour from Akron. I met him through my friend Lauren at a Christmas party in Cleveland. He was quiet, a little nerdy, but he looked me in the eye and asked about my job. I worked in billing at a dental office back then. Nothing fancy. But he listened. We dated for 2 years. He worked IT at a logistics company. He never raised his voice, never cheated, always remembered birthdays. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. He proposed in our apartment during a snowstorm with takeout sushi and a cheap ring I still loved. I said yes without thinking twice. Then there was his mom, Marilyn. From the start, she didn't like me. I wasn't rich. I wasn't blonde. I didn't go to college. First time we met, she hugged me and whispered, "Daniel's had more serious girlfriends before." She smiled when she said it. I smiled back because I didn't know what else to do. She invited us to dinner at her house almost every Sunday. Her house was like a museum, everything beige and white, glass everywhere, not a kid thing in sight. I always brought something: cookies, flowers, once even a bottle of wine. She never touched any of it. Just set it on the kitchen counter and changed the subject. She always said things like, "When Daniel was little, I did everything on my own. No help, no complaints." Or, "You'll see some people just aren't cut out for motherhood." I brushed it off. Thought maybe I was imagining it. I didn't want to cause drama. That was my mistake. When I got pregnant, Daniel cried. He actually cried. He kissed my belly every morning and told everyone at work. He painted the nursery yellow and spent hours comparing stroller brands. He was all in. Marilyn? She didn't cry. She just blinked and said, "Well, that was fast." She asked if I'd be quitting my job. I told her no. She said, "That's brave." I asked what that meant. She smiled and said, "Oh, nothing. Daniel told me not to let it get to me." "That's just her way," he said, more than once. Around month 7, she offered to throw me a baby shower. "Let me take care of everything," she said. "I have the space. It'll be elegant." I didn't want her to, but I didn't want to fight. Everyone told me to let her help. So I did. The shower was at her house. There were about 50 people, friends from both sides, co-workers, a few neighbors. She had a caterer, rented chairs, pink and blue decorations, fancy cookies with "baby up" printed on them. It looked like something out of a magazine. I wore a stretchy blue dress and flats. My ankles were swollen. I barely fit in the folding chair. But I smiled. I tried to enjoy it. About halfway through, Marilyn stood up, champagne glass in hand. I thought she was going to give a regular toast. "You know, can't wait to meet the baby," or "You'll be great parents." Instead, she said this, "Let's be honest, this baby would be better off raised by me." The room went quiet for half a second, then people laughed. Some awkwardly. Some too hard. I didn't laugh. I didn't move. I just stared at the gift table like it had answers I didn't. I looked at Daniel. He smiled tight-lipped, uncomfortable. He didn't say a word. Someone shouted, "You'd spoil him rotten, Marilyn." And the moment moved on. But not for me. I didn't cry until I got home. I sat on the nursery floor, next to the half-assembled crib, and sobbed until my stomach cramped. That night, I told Daniel how hurt I was. How embarrassed. How I felt like I'd been stripped naked in front of everyone. He said, "She didn't mean it. It's just her way. Don't take it personally." That was the last straw. 2 weeks later, I packed a suitcase and left. I moved in with my sister on the east side of Akron. She had a one-bedroom, so I slept on the couch. My back hurt. I was 8 months pregnant. I didn't care. Daniel called me once a day for the first week. I didn't answer. He texted, "Please come back. We'll talk. Then, you're overreacting. Then, don't do this to our son." I ignored him. Lucas was born on a rainy Tuesday morning in a public hospital with peeling paint and buzzing lights. My sister held my hand. I didn't tell Daniel until 3 days later. He showed up at the hospital and held our son for 5 minutes. He looked like a stranger. His hands shook. He asked if I was coming back. I told him I needed time. Marilyn sent a letter a week later. Not a card. Not flowers. A letter and a check for $5,000. It said, "Come home. Let's make the right choice for the baby. You've had your fun. Now let's be adults." I ripped the check. I kept the pieces. I got a small apartment and found a work-from-home job entering insurance claims. I lived cheap. No cable. No takeout. Just diapers, formula, and bills. Lucas cried a lot. I rocked him until my arms went numb. I was exhausted. I didn't regret a thing. Daniel filed for custody when Lucas turned 6 months. His lawyer called me unstable for leaving. I showed the judge the ripped check. I printed out texts from Daniel and emails from Marilyn. I told the truth. Daniel got visitation. 1 afternoon a week. No overnights. No unsupervised visits. He didn't argue. Not really. Then came the morning Marilyn showed up at my door. I didn't expect her. I thought maybe it was a neighbor or a delivery. But when I looked through the peephole, there she was, Marilyn. No pearls. No heels. She was wearing an old gray coat and holding a tote bag. Her makeup was smudged. She looked like someone had pulled her out of a storm. I opened the door a crack. "Please," she said. "I just want to see him." I didn't speak. She sniffed hard and wiped her face. I didn't mean what I said that day. I was nervous. I tried to make a joke. It was stupid. "Please." Lucas was asleep in his crib. My hand was still on the doorknob. "I never thought you'd keep him from me," she said, almost whispering. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "You didn't think I'd do what? Stand up for myself? He's my grandson. You tried to buy him from me." She shook her head. "That check wasn't for that. It was," she stopped. "Okay. It was." We stood there in silence. "I didn't know you'd walk away," she finally said. "No one does that in our family." "I'm not in your family," I said. That hit her hard. She swayed a little and had to sit on the front step. Then she said something that made my stomach twist. "Daniel's seeing someone else. She's moving in." I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. But she kept going. "She's 26. She wants kids right away. He told me he wants full custody now. He says the apartment's too small. That you're unstable. He said you won't even talk to him." I sat down too. My hands were cold. "I told him not to," she said. "I told him you're a good mother." I looked at her. I know I messed up. I know I said awful things. But He's not thinking clearly. He's angry. You left him. You embarrassed him. So now I'm the villain. She looked away. I'm telling you because you need to be ready, she said. He hired a different lawyer. A real one this time. They'll file soon. Maybe this week. I stood up. My legs were shaking. He thinks I'll help him, she said. That I'll lie for him. But I won't. Not this time. I didn't know whether to believe her. I still don't. But I knew one thing: he was coming for my son. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up rereading every legal paper I still had from the custody hearing. I called my lawyer first thing the next morning. He didn't sound surprised. They've already filed, he said. It came in late Friday. Emergency motion for custody modification. Claims of parental instability. Unsafe environment. I felt like the floor dropped out under me. Daniel had attached photos. Of my apartment. My old car. A screenshot of a missed pediatric appointment when Lucas had a fever and I rescheduled. There was a long letter from his new girlfriend Alyssa saying she was ready to provide a full-time home, and that she had serious concerns about Lucas's development. She'd never even met him. My lawyer asked if I had anything to counter with. I didn't. I hadn't taken pictures of his nursery. I hadn't saved every appointment record. I didn't even know you were supposed to. They're moving fast, my lawyer said. Looks like they want a court date within 2 weeks. I hung up and sat in the middle of the floor, Lucas playing with blocks next to me. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I got up. I called my sister. I called my boss. I made a list. Then I called Marilyn. She picked up on the second ring. I need a favor, I said. I heard her take a breath. Anything. I want you to testify. She was quiet. Are you sure? You said you won't lie for him. Good. I need you to tell the truth. About everything. She agreed. I wasn't sure if I should trust her, but I didn't have a choice. The hearing was set for a Tuesday morning. I wore the nicest outfit. I had black slacks and a navy sweater. Lucas stayed with my sister. The courtroom was small, quiet. Daniel sat at the other table in a gray suit. He didn't look at me. Alyssa was there too, holding his hand. When Marilyn walked in, I saw Daniel's back stiffen. She didn't sit with him. The judge asked her to speak as a character witness. She took the stand and folded her hands in her lap. I said terrible things at my daughter-in-law's baby shower, she began. Things that I thought were jokes. They weren't. They were cruel. The room was still. My son didn't stop me. And I didn't stop myself. I thought I could push her out, take over. I thought money and tradition mattered more than love. I was wrong. She looked at me. She's a better mother than I ever was. Lucas is safe with her. Loved. Protected. And I'm ashamed it took me this long to say it out loud. Daniel looked like he wanted to disappear. His lawyer tried to shake her testimony, but Marilyn didn't budge. She told the truth, finally. The judge said they'd need time to make a decision. I knew how that worked. It could take days, weeks. I left the courtroom drained, but something felt different this time. I had backup. 3 days later, I got a call. Not from my lawyer. From Alyssa. She asked to meet. Said it was important. I hesitated, but agreed. We met at a Panera, middle of the afternoon. She looked tired. Nervous. I didn't know the whole story, she said. He told me you ran off. That you were unstable. I believed him. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. Then she slid a manila envelope across the table. I found his messages, she said. To other women. There were a lot. I opened it. Printouts. Texts. Screenshots. Some recent, some from during my pregnancy. Messages to women I'd never met. Some of them had dates. They lined up with nights he said he was working late. He's been lying to both of us, she said. I'm done. But I thought you should have this for court. I stared at the envelope. Then I said, thank you. She left. I ordered a coffee and sat there for an hour, just staring out the window. I felt angry. But I also felt something else. Stronger. The final court hearing came faster than I expected. I showed up with a thick binder. Photos of Lucas's nursery. Records from his doctor. Printouts of our grocery receipts. And the envelope from Alyssa. Daniel was already seated when I walked in. His lawyer looked calm, like they thought they had it in the bag. Daniel didn't look at me once. The judge started with him. His lawyer repeated the same lines: unsafe environment, no father figure, new stable household with Daniel and Alyssa. He said I isolated Lucas from his family. That I'd emotionally damaged Daniel by leaving. Then it was my turn. I handed the judge the binder and said, everything you need is in here. My lawyer went over everything, slowly, point by point. Then I asked to speak. I stood up, heart beating out of my chest. I left because I had to, I said. I wasn't weak. I was protecting my son. I don't have a big house or a perfect past. But I don't lie. And I never treated motherhood like a game. I turned to Daniel. You didn't fight for our son until it hurt your pride. Not your heart. Your pride. I handed over the envelope last. The judge opened it. Looked through each page. I didn't know until last week, I said. But it turns out he was lying to me long before I left. Daniel's lawyer tried to object, but the judge waved him off. The damage was done. That day, the judge ruled that I would keep full custody. Daniel's visitation would be limited and strictly supervised: no overnight stays, no private outings. He'd have to take parenting classes. And he'd have to submit to regular check-ins for a full year. Alyssa was gone. She didn't even show up. She moved out 2 days after that hearing, from what I heard. Marilyn came by the week after. She brought a soft blue blanket with Lucas's name stitched into it. She stood on my porch, quiet, eyes full. Thank you, she said. For letting me speak. For letting me fix what I helped break. I didn't do it for you, I said. I did it for him. I know, she whispered. But I'd still like to try. If you ever let me. I looked at her for a long time. I thought about all the times she'd laughed at me, dismissed me, made me feel like I was nothing. Then I nodded once. She visits now. Once a week. Always brings a book or a toy. Never stays long. She never oversteps. As for Daniel, he tried, once, to get the order changed. But the judge denied him again after reviewing his failure to complete the parenting course. He called me a few times after that. I didn't answer. The last voicemail he left said, "You turned my whole family against me." Maybe I did. But he gave me the matches. I just lit them. And now I raise my son in peace. No lies. No games. No one telling me I'm not enough. I don't regret walking out. I regret not doing it sooner.